Hello, everyone, and welcome to Grip Vlog Foundation Disc Golf's weekly podcast. I'm Hunter, joined as always by Trevor and Konner.
Do it, Trev.
Hey. Yeah, Trev, do the little low thing.
I can't.
I don't know how he did that. I don't know if y'all noticed it last week. But
They had to.
Trevor got possessed by something.
Shaquille O'Neal was taking Trevor's place.
It was
week.
crazy. If you haven't heard, go listen to the intro of last week's podcast.
After this episode.
Well, yeah, of course. They're not dumb.
They're not
Trev.
dumb.
Come on.
Yeah,
You're driving.
They're dumb.
Stop treating them like
Daniel's in the
dumb,
middle
Trev.
of his commute on I-85 right now. We got some kind of off-season movement to talk through. The PDGA is looking at a pretty big rule change. GK Pro is no mo. We'll have it in the bag, and then Silas selects to round out this show. A lot of fun stuff to talk through, but first, quick word from our sponsors. BetOnline continues to be the world's most trusted betting platform and your number one source for online betting. From the earliest odds to in-game live betting, BetOnline provides you with all the action and the ability to watch the games as they happen. With the largest selection of odds on everything from football to NBA and college basketball, NHL to UFC, head to BetOnline today, and don't forget to use promo code BELIEVE, that's BLEAV, for your welcome bonus on your first deposit. BetOnline, the game starts here. Many disc golfers have tons of extra discs cluttering up our closets and cars, and there are very few storage products on the market that are designed specifically for golf discs that don't waste any space. And unfortunately, the ones that do exist are terribly expensive. Thankfully, there is DiscBox. DiscBox is the only low-cost disc golf storage product on the market. It's a simple disc storage bin that holds up to 30 discs, requires no tape or glue, and is made from recycled material in the USA. Go to discboxdg.com and you'll find quantity discounts, wholesale options, multiple colors, and most importantly, no order minimum, so you can just order a single box if you want. DiscBox also makes a great player pack item or Christmas gift. Visit discboxdg.com today and get your collection organized. Don't forget to use code FOUNDATION to get 15% off your order.
Swag.
Let's start with some off-season movement. First, Will Schusterick has been named Prodigy Disc's new CEO.
Wow.
Boom, 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 boom,
How do you guys feel about that?
We're about to talk about it.
I can't wait.
I don't know how I feel about it yet. Prodigy is proud to announce that three-time U.S. Disc Golf champion and sales director Will Schusterick has been promoted to Chief Executive Officer. His transition into the role will begin immediately. It's a privilege to be asked to take on this role and help steer the next generation of Prodigy's story, said Schusterick. Handing off the executive leadership of this brand into the hands of disc golfers is exciting as we look forward to the next chapter in Prodigy's history. I'm excited to take on the challenge, and I can't wait to get to work in this new role. A few questions that raised for me. A, who was previously the CEO? Because he said to hand it into disc golfers. Like, who was running Prodigy?
It was probably the owner.
But he wasn't a disc golfer? It was founded by like a world champ, I thought. Wasn't it what's his name? Dave Greenwell?
Did he found it?
It was him and yeah, he was a co-founder.
But who was the guy that was running the show, right?
That's what I just asked.
No, like you know the guy.
The guy I knew was I knew Mark Anderson left the company in 2024.
So they probably just didn't have anybody.
Yeah, so he took back over. He left the company earlier in 2024. Mark Anderson is who was running it.
Yeah.
So it just wasn't a disc golfy kind of guy?
Well, I guess not. I thought
he was a businessman.
Oh.
Here's the thing about this move is
he's got a PDGA number.
it does seem that a very old PDGA number.
If this is the right guy.
2614.
Yeah, he's wearing Prodigy. Yeah, this is the guy.
It's unreal.
Yeah, so that's what I'm wondering.
He be disc golfing.
I
think Prodigy.
What does that statement mean?
Well, Prodigy's trying to kind of reposition themselves, and here's the thing. Giving the reins to Will is basically like giving the controls to a plane that is going to nosedive. You're getting gutted. You've got bad public perception, but Will's been tied into Prodigy for the majority of his career now. He's kind of been all in with them. So I think that if the company needs restructuring, if this is kind of a last, like, hey, let's go for it, I don't know where they're at, then I think it makes sense to put Will at the helm of that, because I think he deserves to have, if he's able to turn things around, he deserves to reap the benefits of that. I think Prodigy this is probably one of their best bets to reposition and rebrand and kind of turn around the PR situation with a guy like Will. I think Will is very likable. I've always been a fan of Will Schusterick. I'm not sure how much he connects to the now generation. So as much as you look at most like people like me will look at the move and be like, ooh, Will Schusterick as CEO, that's a good look because people know Will, they love Will, he was a player. But realistically, the market that you're actually trying to get have no idea for the most part who Will Schusterick is.
I think what they really have to do is just solve the disc problem.
Well, absolutely. Yeah. I'm just saying, but before you do, even once you solve it, you have to have people want to buy your discs.
But this move does nothing if people are like, you know what? I want to support Will.
Totally right.
I'm back in,
Yeah.
and they get it, and the A2 cuts their fingers off, and the 400 plastic gets chalky again, which they addressed a few weeks ago. They said like they acknowledged those mistakes, acknowledged their quality control, and they're hoping to fix it.
Oh, no way. That's
Prodigy-
that's
what I'm saying.
huge.
So
Prodigy has everything that they require to be a successful disc golf company because they can make good product.
Let's be honest,
they have good branding.
They have great molds. They have some of the best mid-range and putter molds.
Like they can make it happen. It's just now it's going to take an effort to get back into the limelight.
So is are most? This might be a stupid question. Okay,
no stupid questions.
Because I'm comparing this to what we saw at the Gateway Factory. So I don't know if this is how other companies do it. But once the disc comes out of the machine, is it another machine that's cutting off the flashing?
Modern companies, yes.
Okay.
Prodigy, I don't know, because Gateway obviously was a person, or they had that
somebody at Prodigy's doing it.
There's always imperfections though, because like even MVP for example, who obviously uses the machine, we've actually seen their machines. You will very occasionally get a putter with like a little bit on the edge of the rim, not on the bottom.
But there's few companies that consistently.
Correct. Prodigy has definitely found themselves the most notorious, and it's one thing to get this tiny little almost burr of plastic that's like that doesn't even matter. It's another thing when you get it on the bottom of the rim and it's so thick it's going to cut your finger off. Yeah. That's what Prodigy has dealt with in the last few years.
But that's cool that they are acknowledging that and supposedly moving forward.
Because the other thing that Prodigy has to solve public perception wise, well, obviously you got to just have time from when you sued Gannon Burr, obviously.
Right.
But B is their discs on the shelf will get chalky.
Yeah.
And there's some people within Prodigy that love that, right? Not within the company, but within like throwing Prodigy, they're like,
psychos.
oh, it adds some extra grip, whatever.
Just psychos.
But like for the majority of us, I'm used to seeing Innova Champ plastics sit for decades before it looks like that.
Yeah.
Versus Prodigy, there's been some that's come into our warehouse and before we can even sell it is already kind of chalky.
Big dog.
They've acknowledged that as well.
I've got an H1 V2 on my shelf right now at home that looks like it has athlete's foot.
Well, if you get some olive oil,
but this is true though,
and rubber in, you got to put the oils back in the disc.
Brand new. It is literally brand new. I did that as well, and it works completely 100%.
Here's what I have to say, if you don't mind me saying. What I think is great about Will becoming the CEO is that he has been a player playing with Prodigy discs for so long. So he knows what it is that people want out of Prodigy.
He knows the good stuff.
He probably knows. He knows the frustration of having a disc he really likes but not being able to get it repeated.
Yeah.
Like so I'm sure that he knows what the player wants, what the player needs out of Prodigy.
Whoa.
Sorry. Sneak peek. I'm just kidding. Yeah. He knows what the player wants out of Prodigy, and so I think that he'll probably turn the company to provide that more.
Well, I think the business move number one is you got to open up transparency and be very much like, hey, this is what we think has been caused. Like I would do like some type of like video vlog series or something where I'm documenting like, we think this is what's causing our disc to start being chalky. Here's like, watch us experiment to try to fix it. Yeah. Because then once you fix it, now you know, like you can prove it on video. People can watch. It's a very transparent, like, hey, we've messed up in the past. This is why our flashing's this way. This is what we're doing to fix it.
Yeah,
and
you gotta earn trust back.
Yeah, so then people can watch that happen because here's the good news for Prodigy. What drew me to Prodigy when I first got into the sport was their plastic. I personally loved the like 750 and when 400.
They got good blends.
The opaque 400. It to me is like some of the best feeling plastic on the market. They've went away from 750. I don't even know if it exists anymore, but whatever that plastic was, and then their 350G, which I think is now 300 firm, like those plastic on the baseline and that premium plastic are still to this day some of my favorite premium plastics.
Yeah.
What happened though is the quality of what you were getting for that became less and less consistent over time to where you couldn't just go get a 750 M4 and it feel like the 750 M4 I loved.
Yeah.
So if they can get back to that, the good news is that we've all seen they can do it.
Well, right.
Because an M4 at its best, an M3 at its best, a PA3,
so good.
the A2, heck, even D1s at their best. Like, they have some.
We loved it when we had good stuff. It was awesome.
They have some phenomenal molds.
And to speak to that, the first thing you have to do is you have to regain your core following, right? Because I think, Prodigy, and every disc golf company that has success for the most part starts with a kind of cult following, right? We've seen it with MVP. We've seen other companies almost make it out of that. Lone Star was kind of an example. They went a different route. But every company has to start there. You have to get a bunch of people. It's easy to start kind of in your local geography, get them passionate about your brand, and then that spreads once other people try the plastic if they like it. And I think Prodigy was almost there. But first you have to get back those people that already loved Prodigy in order to get to the masses. And so I think, just refining that product and getting it back to where it was. Like Konner was saying, giving the Prodigy throwers of old what they love. I mean, if you gave me some of the discs I was throwing in college right now, if you could reproduce them, I would tell the world about them. But right now, it's always been iffy to be like, ooh, I love this, because you're not sure if that's going to be the product they can deliver on. And some of the molds you just can't get the way you could before. So I do think there is a way back for them. It's just going to be do they have enough resources for long enough to turn it around? And is that going to be doable? And how are they going to approach that from a marketing perspective? But I think that, this is a start, and hopefully it continues to move in a positive direction for them. I also think they need to simplify things too.
Well, I think, one thing they have going for them is this new reblend.
Yeah,
that's some of the best plastics come out of Prodigy's, which is funny because they're recycled plastic.
And they've just got great molds,
we did the reblend A5s for like a subscription box a few months back. I think it was like October, and the whole reason we did it is we got the reblend. I think it's technically 500 plastic. It's like it's one of their premium plastics if you're not a Prodigy guy, but it's one of their premium plastics that's been like recycled into this new reblend, and we got D3s in. And I felt it, and I was like, this is the best Prodigy plastic they've made in like a decade. And so then we ordered A5s for a subscription box, and they all, like, the quality control on the reblend was awesome too. So that they definitely have going for them. But yeah, I think I like Will being named here. The only thing that's scary for Will taking this over is this is either a career maker or a career killer, because Prodigy's not done yet, right? So now
he was already so tied in though. Like, I feel like for him, like, it's like, all right, here it is.
But I'm saying he's either the guy that goes down with the ship, or he's the guy that turns it around and turns it into a like big company. And if he turns it around, obviously he could stay at Prodigy the rest of his life. But if he turns it around, now he's the type of CEO that a lot of people want. If he goes down with the ship, he's now blamed.
It's such an interesting, and it's hard to know what's going on internally. It could be the walls are on fire, or it could be, hey, we're doing a big reset, but we've downsized, removed player contracts, and now things are fine on our books. You have no idea. But it could be one of those situations where it's like, hey, Will, like, promoted to CEO, big deal, but also
you got 2 years.
You got 2 years, or if we keep bleeding, like it could be one of those situations.
I think he can turn it around. I think he's going to turn it around.
Well,
I believe in Will Schusterick. I stand with Will Schusterick.
The key.
I know that there's something coming out right now about like something heinous he said, and the next clip is me saying, I stand with Will Schusterick.
Not Will. Not Will. I do think, though, the key is going to just be hyper transparency to earn back consumer trust. Like, they have to.
You can't market as if nothing's happened. You have to. The next messages that come out of Prodigy have to be
and it's a
change, restructure.
Yeah, it's a perfect opportunity with someone taking over to just like, hey, now that I'm here, all of this stuff that we've been dealing with, we're not dealing with that anymore. Like, I'm not going to accept it. This is a perfect opportunity. You just have to do it. So we'll see if we do it.
I'm going to call it right now. I think that if by next year, this time, we're like, dang, Prodigy really has like made all the right decisions and everything, he might get a nominee for Grippy for Comeback Player of the Year.
Oh my gosh. Is Prodigy going to have Pop?
This is what would be. Is Prodigy find Pop?
Here's a crazy future prediction.
Okay.
Oh, shoot.
I love
the year's 2030.
Wow, that's far away.
Ooh, I'm old.
Prodigy has turned themselves around into a big deal. Like they're back. They're super consistent. They've
Fortune
earned
500.
everyone's trust. Not that big. They've earned everyone's trust back. Whatever.
Fortune 200.
And the thing that puts them from like a
would be
fringe
better.
niche brand into it's like Innova MVP Discraft Prodigy. The
Konner.
move that
Is
happens
Konner.
is Gannon Burr comes home.
Oh,
With Will Schusterick at the helm.
You know they were
back.
tight, man. Like
yeah,
I'm not gonna say no.
2030.
it would definitely take a
2030.
lot of change for him to go back, just from like his own what he said about their
Oh yeah,
company.
that's
but,
why it's 6 years from now.
But yeah, no, I don't hate that at all. I don't hate that at all.
Today's video is sponsored by Mudwater. With traditional coffee, do you ever experience having those jitters, or it might keep you awake but you don't really have much energy? Well, that's where Mudwater comes in, because what Mudwater does is it's a better solution for energy. It keeps you without those jitters or brain fog, and it's perfect for your routine to take the place of coffee. Instead of reaching for that cup of coffee in the morning, just mix up some Mudwater real quick and you're gonna have that all-day energy that you need. Mudwater's original blend that I have here has 4 functional mushrooms and only a fraction of the caffeine found in coffee. So with Mudwater, you're getting a natural source of energy. And each ingredient was added with a purpose. First, you've got cacao and chai for a hint of caffeine and almost a chocolate-like flavor. Then you've got lion's mane for focus and to combat that brain fog. You've got cordyceps to promote natural energy, and both chaga and reishi to promote a healthy immune system. This thing packs a serious punch. Plus, this thing is vegan approved, Whole30 approved, non-GMO, and so much more. One of the best parts about Mudwater is how incredibly simple it is for me to make. I simply take a little spoonful and dissolve it in some hot water. And don't let the name scare you, Mudwater tastes great as well. I would almost compare it to kind of a chai tea latte type of taste. Almost get like a hint of cinnamon as well. It's super good. I love to drink it warm, and I think it replaces a cup of coffee well. And if you want to try out Mudwater right now, they're hooking up my viewers with a special offer. If you go to mudwater.com/foundation, you can get this free frother plus 15% off. That's mudwtr.com/foundation for 15% off and this awesome free frother. This offer is exclusive to mudwater.com/foundation. The link is in the description. Make sure to check Mudwater out. Thanks to them for sponsoring this video. Let's get into it.
And that's the big return.
I love
He's back. You know who's not back
Dude,
is
Gannon Burr's gonna be old.
I think he's what, 25? in
Gross.
Yeah,
years,
it's
something
not
like that?
much old. In how many years?
Isn't he 19?
He's 19.
So 2030, he'd be 25.
Yeah,
He was born in
that's
2005.
Same age as me.
That's crazy.
Now.
I don't want to talk about that.
He was born when I was freaking like 8 years old.
Wow,
Gannon
you're
Burr's
so
gonna be
old.
young for what seems like an eternity, because like you don't become like
Old until you hit like,
getting up there until you're like 26, 27.
not even then, like
Well, no,
29 or 30.
That's when you're like no longer a young hotshot in my book. Once you hit
Yeah.
like 27,
and so that's 2032.
that's so long. Like, Gannon's gonna be so good forever.
Yeah.
Somebody's gotta stop him.
We need to get Jomez online, have him do a 364 hand.
Oh my gosh, Hunter, you're savage for that. I'm
You are
actually
savage for
getting
that, huh?
zoinked by this cord.
Yeah, the cord's been really bugging me because Trevor keeps rolling over it.
Trevor's
It's yanking on my
trivia.
leg. The other
Trevor's
someone
trivial
who
tasks.
is not going to be around much next year.
Oh no.
Hit him with
is
it, Hunt.
Drew Gibson. He has announced basically that he is like, did I just start a buzz? Can you hear it in your ears, Con?
They would do a
sir.
segment on,
Okay, well, that doesn't matter.
Pardon the interruption, when they would do like Happy Trails so and so. It's like Happy Trails Drew Gibson. No, I'm not on your cord.
I
No
don't
way.
get it.
Do you hear the buzz, Trev? If no one else hears the buzz, then we're good.
I'm guessing that your power
is the
cord is
buzz-
crossing over your headphone cable.
Is the buzz in the room with us right now?
No, it's not even close to it. Okay. Drew Gibson
I
has
hear
announced
that.
on
Konner.
Instagram that he is semi-retiring. So I'll just read you
Same.
his post. What a journey it's been. It's hard to put into words these past 12 years have meant to me. I've had incredible opportunity to compete at the highest level of our sport week in and week out, and I'll forever be grateful for the chance to push myself, test my limits, and represent my sponsors around the world. Looking back, I'm proud to say I earned my first professional win in 2013. And from that moment on, I poured my heart and soul into every event and media creation over the years. It doesn't mean I was always the best, but it wasn't for a lack of care. I was fortunate enough to consistently compete among the best in the world, finishing the top 10 more than 50% of the time. But
Hit him with it.
But today I find myself reflecting on something even more important than the trophies, accolades, and views, the future of my family. This post comes from a place of wanting to be the best father I can be to my daughter, and that means making sacrifices. Growing up in a single-parent home, I saw the hard work and dedication my father had put in to making me who I am today, and I never realized how uncommon it was until I grew older, as he made it feel so normal. Now, as a soon-to-be father myself, I want to make sure my daughter doesn't have to ask, "Where's Daddy?" I want to be there for her and be present to watch her grow and to build a stable, loving home. I want my family to thrive in one place, not scattered across different cities every week. With all this said, I've decided to limit my touring in 2025 to about 6 to 8 events in the U.S. and put all of my focus on creating media content via my YouTube channel, as I still want to be very much a part of the sport we all love. Staying home and creating media allows me to be there for my family while also continuing to help push our sport forward. It's a bittersweet decision, but one that feels right for the next chapter of my life. Thanks everyone who supported me along the way. And then he goes on to basically thank people.
Respect. I respect for that. That's a well-written post. I think Drew Gibson can be successful in media. I think Drew Gibson is a very talented player, but he clearly hasn't been completely all in the last couple of years, and I think that's reflected in his game. And I think that he might be making this decision at the right time to be like, you know what? It's not for me. Wants to be home with his kid. That's great. Like, love that. And I do think Drew can be successful doing disc golf media and really leaning into it. So hope it works out for him.
Hey, my initial reaction, I'm going to give you my reaction to the first third of the post, okay?
Yep.
Okay.
First third, I think there's no way of knowing what this means he's going to do. Because I feel like Drew has posted a lot of things that sound like big old change-ups and like everything's going to change and he just got this crazy thing and all this stuff, and then you don't really hear about it in like a little bit. Like the one time he posted that he signed like a multi-million-dollar deal or whatever. Whenever it was
worth
just like,
up to hundreds of millions of dollars.
Yeah, that's where
No
it was just
lies
like
detected.
it was like that was a huge post, and then it was kind of like, what does that mean really? And like there's a lot of vague posts like that. So initially, I think, what does that mean retiring? We have no way of knowing what he actually means by what he's saying. And then I got to the second thirds and the third thirds of the post, and I was like, oh, never mind, that's really sweet.
Yeah.
So that was my first reaction was, okay, what does this mean? And then you got to the part where you started talking about being a dad, and I was like, oh, dang, respect, Drew. That's a really nice, kind thing to say, and I respect the crap out of it.
Yeah.
So I was excited for like a hot take, and then I cooled out, and I take back I take back my initial thoughts. I still said them, but I take them back.
So he's been very active over on YouTube, which appears to be kind of his plan for the season, which makes a lot of sense. And it seems like he's basically doing he did a bunch of collabs with Simon where he's just like playing disc golf, but then he's also doing several of his like talking head videos where he basically is addressing like stuff going on within the sport currently.
Yeah.
And so he talked about what we're going to talk about here in a little bit of the GK Pro thing. He talked about some tour card issue stuff. And he seems to be doing a lot of like reaction type stuff. So I'm assuming that's kind of what his plan is like, I don't know if he'll get into a rhythm where it's like 1 playing video and 2 talking videos a week or what, but regardless, he's going to be kind of turn into a disc golf content creator, which allows him to just kind of lock in Arizona.
Yeah.
Raise his family.
I think he'll be great at that.
I think he can make it happen.
Yeah,
like,
I think
people
really
people
good.
have their opinions on Drew. Like, whatever, he's a polarizing guy. But
that's kind of what you want from media,
that's
though.
exactly
Exactly. That's what I'm
He's
saying.
perfect for it.
I think he can at least move the needle enough to get some traction. He's also done stuff in the golf world. Like, hey, maybe he'll have some success over there. Like, I think he's got enough of a personality, right? So,
yeah.
I think he's going to be successful.
Yeah, I think he'll be able to do it all right. Sell some discs.
Not enough players are polarizing, and I think that's something more and more people are going to start realizing is.
Yeah.
And we talk about this a bunch.
You only miss them when they're gone,
Well, I think the polarizing side, what people hear is so many people dislike that person, but for you to have strong enough character traits for someone to feel more than like, oh yeah, they're fine. Because like fine doesn't move the needle, right? And when you're trying to make a living, move plastic, whatever, someone thinking, oh yeah, they're fine, isn't going to move them to defend you, move them to purchase your products, move them to whatever. But when you're polarizing, that means that yes, people are going to dislike you because you're like 100% yourself. But then there's going to be a different group, which might be smaller or larger, depending on who you are. But there's going to be a different group that fully loves and are fully in. And what that creates is an actual diehard fan base that then will stand up for you, then will buy your, I think he sells like monthly, he has Finish Line, he sells the monthly boxes, stuff like that. Like that's what polarizing creates. You might not, someone who's not polarizing might have more quote unquote fans, but those fans can't be mobilized to do anything versus someone who's polarized has diehard fans, and you'd rather have 1,000 diehard fans than 10,000, they're fine fans.
Yeah.
And that's what I think disc golfers a lot of times miss that. Drew Gibson's not one of those. He's not missed that. And so I think he's set up now where like he already has 50,000 subscribers on YouTube. As he like locks in and learns the YouTube game a little bit more, I think that'll grow. And then, with him being polarizing, he'll have those diehard fans that as he grows his YouTube and becomes this new role, whatever he decides that being, I think he'll be able to see even more success with Finish Line and with his discs probably than when he was just a player.
Yeah.
So
here's what I also really like about this, because I like that disc golf's at a point to where you can move around within disc golf. You don't have to decide to leave it like for what he's doing. And first of all, I think it's crazy, like respectable that he is choosing to like his family first in this. I think that's awesome. I think I think that's really, really cool. But I also love that he's not like, okay, I'm retiring from playing disc golf. I've got a family now. I'm going to go be an accountant instead. Like he's staying in disc golf, and because I like Drew Gibson, I think he's really entertaining. Yeah. And so what I love is that this doesn't mean that we're going to see less of Drew Gibson. I think we're about to see more of Drew Gibson because he's going into media. And so I think that's really cool that disc golf is to a point to where you can kind of move around within it instead of being like, oh, I have a life change coming up. I've got to get responsible. Let me move to a different field. Yeah. Instead, he can kind of be like, okay, I'm going to stop touring and just focus on this media side of disc golf because that's still a very valuable side. It's really cool.
Oh, show.
Yeah.
I'm excited to see what he does.
For sure. I'm very excited. And if you're not following Drew, go check him out. See what he's up to. Next up, we have Doug Bierkes, who is I believe he's the executive director, is his official title, of the PDGA. But anyway, he's high up at the PDGA. This was in the Disc Golfer magazine, which then you can find online. I didn't realize you could find it digitally online, but I have the link. I'm looking at it.
Dang, dude, I've been paying the $10 extra.
Yeah.
I'm just kidding.
I don't know if you can find the full magazine, but I just have the article here. But essentially, these are your notes from Doug, and it's called Putting Rules Under Construction. And the big thing here is the PDGA has started conversations about a possible change in their putting rules. The proposed change is to define a quote-unquote putt to be within 20 meters of the basket as opposed to where it currently is at 10 meters. So essentially, this, if it were to move forward, because right now it's just like we're thinking about this. It's not a proposed rule change yet. So for it to be basically in 2020, this end of this season, they would propose it as a rule change. And then if it got approved by the board, then it would become effective next year if it were to follow that trajectory. But right now, they're essentially saying inside of 20 meters would be where it shifts to where you have to display balance after throwing your putt. So you couldn't step putt, you couldn't jump putt, you'd have to putt normally inside 20 meters. His reasoning here is the putting distances remain the same for nearly 50 years. During this time, both disc and basket technology has changed substantially, helping players consistently drain putts from much farther than in the earlier days. To be legal, a player making a jump or step putt must be in contact with his or her lie at the time of release and not make any ground contact in front of the lie. It is, of course, possible to make a perfectly legal step or jump putt, but both of these requirements must be fulfilled. In real time, legality of these putts can be a very difficult call to make, which we see a lot of times. Basically, when people go to do a step putt from like 45 feet, there's always the people online that are screenshotting the second Chris Dickerson's heel touches the ground and they're like, see, he's foot faulting. So this would help eliminate that, because once you get outside of 60 feet, then it's a much more comfortable area to throw or jump putt, and the likelihood of it getting made goes way down, which means the likelihood of those very minor foot faults being drastic changes also goes way down. Whereas at 40 feet, I mean, some players will go around and make 60% of their, circle two putts, and if they're foot faulting on all of those, that's a big deal. Because of this difficulty, many players are reluctant to make these calls, and it's unreasonable to expect all players to become as good as MLB first base umpires at detecting milliseconds of timing for the disc and the foot. I think it's also important to note that the umpires, that's all they're doing. The players are also worried about their round.
Yeah. And they're wrong all the time.
Yeah, thinking about their putt coming up and stuff like that. And now you're asking them to basically lay on the ground and see if Kristen Tatar's heel touched the ground before she released. So frequently we've seen video and photographic evidence of players at all levels of the sport breaking the rules when engaging in a putt. While nothing in the sport's perfect, these clear deviations from the rules could certainly put a shadow on championship, and it's crucial we avoid this decision in the proposal or in the future. So a simple proposal: no jump or step putts inside of 20 meters. And then at the end of this, you can read the whole article if you want over on dgmag.mypublication.com.
Nice. Good URL.
But anyways, how do you feel about this? The purpose of this change is purpose of this piece is not to announce a change, but rather to share with the membership that a change is being considered. We need to make sure that this change is needed, and if change is the best way to solve the problem. I personally feel adjusting a single digit in the rulebook is likely the best and cleanest overall solution to the problem. However, that doesn't mean that it is. I encourage all PDGA members to engage in the rules process. Rule changes in most cases go out for public comment at least once a year. Keep an eye on the PDGA for announcements about upcoming rule change proposal. It gives you a chance to have a voice in where the sport is headed.
I kind of like that.
It makes total sense. I mean, and you have to use the highest level of the game a lot of times as a litmus test, because we all use the same rule book, and it's most important when there's $10,000 on the line. So you have to use them as the litmus test. The pros have become too good from 34 feet to allow them to be step putting from that distance. There's just no need. Putting from that distance probably needs to be more difficult. If you're not going to shrink the basket, this is the next thing to do. I think it makes total sense. I think adding a whole nother 10 meters just takes out all the problems. Like, I totally agree. I think it's the simplest way to do it. Pro players are still going to be able to putt from that distance, no problem. Some of the newer players who don't have the crazy wrist spin putts might have to do a little more of a toss.
Here's what I have to say to them: switch to roaches.
That's true.
Yeah, but like that's not the end of the world, and I think that it's going to be really interesting to see, like, if this does go through, what it does to, like, it could really, like, it's genuinely could really shake things up, because there are so many pro players that legitimately, like, they make their money on being awesome from just outside the circle. Like, that is a place where they might get 2, 3, 4 strokes on the field. And then there are also some players where I'm just thinking, like, gosh, they don't even need to step. Like, Gannon Burr is just going to get better.
That's what I was going to say. Short term, there's going to be some, like, more drastic ramifications, if that makes sense. Like, Ricky Wysocki doesn't step outside the circle until he gets way outside. Gannon Burr's the same way. Right. You have some spin putters that are like that. Versus a player like Isaac Robinson, if I'm thinking correctly, he uses a step putt whenever he can. Ezra Aderhold is the same way. Mm-hmm. Where I do think this has more ramifications, I think it's a little bit harder on the FPO side. But obviously right now we don't have split rules.
Right.
Because I think it is, like, if you think of FPO players, I can't name one that is at 50 feet not jumping or step putting. Whereas in MPO, I can name several that currently aren't doing that. So I think that there will be a bigger change when it comes to the FPO landscape. But as you mentioned, like, it's not hard to do, like, a little bit more of a throwy putt. You just have to develop.
At the end of the day, throwing a disc 60 feet is not difficult.
Yeah.
Like, it's
and
just
so
not.
That's, to me, I agree with the initial thought of, like, this is the cleanest way. I did see, I believe it was Ezra Aderhold, that he didn't really say much, but someone, like, tagged him in a post about this on Facebook, and he responded and basically was like, yeah, this is a horrible change. And that's all he said. Could have been being joking. Who knows? But I think overall it's good for the sport in general. I think it will be felt on the local level a little bit more. I can definitely see, like, your MA3 guys, like, struggling with this a little bit more. But it's just something where okay, now this is the rule. So now your practice has to change a little bit. And you might have an inside the old circle putt, and you might have a 30 to 60 foot. It's a little bit more of a throw or a little bit more of a toss.
Yeah, it's just going to change the game.
Yeah.
I am a little surprised they went all the way to they didn't do anything. Surprised they're proposing all the way to 20. I think I would have expected, like, maybe 15, to where, because in my opinion, I will say, like, a 58-footer standstill is a pretty, like, that's a heave. I don't think the step putt, like, if you were to take it out to, let's say 15 and it's like 45 feet, I don't think from 45 feet that the step putt is a huge issue. I think it's really only becomes an issue 40 and in when it feels like it's a layup. You see guys that are 6'6", like,
I don't know,
extending
though.
to the basket.
When I think of Brody step putting a 45-footer, it still feels like he's so close to the basket.
45 feet, though, I feel like
I like it at 20.
But, I mean, no, I don't hate it. But like I said, I think, like, the players that are upset with it, you just have to realize that it's just going to change the game. Like, you might be thinking, oh, my gosh, I'm never going to make that 58-footer. Well, it's going to be the same for everybody.
Yeah. The other thing that I think I do like about it is, as we sit currently, a lot of places are already marking Circle 2.
Right.
So now it's not we have to learn a new marking on courses.
Yeah. Is Circle 1 even going to be a stat anymore?
I don't think so. It'll probably just be inside the circle or fairway. Or maybe stat keeping wise they will, just because, like, it'll be like Circle 1, Circle 2. Both are just normal putts.
That's what I mean. Like, because it for stat keeping, it gave us a second level of detail.
Well, it reminds me of a comment I saw on Facebook of someone who was opposing this. They were like, I don't understand the need for this change because the best pros in the world might be like 40% from Circle 2. Your local players are like 10% from Circle 2. But here's the thing, is the problem area is that like 34 to like 45 feet, somewhere in that range. The best pros in the world might be 80%. From that range.
I would say Gannon from 35 is a lot better
it's
than 70%.
It's not about the edge of the circle.
Yeah, Circle 2, when you get to 58 feet right now, players aren't pouring them in. Correct. But if you're watching live disc golf, if a player's like, there's a lot of guys, heck, actually, hand up, where 34 feet is a way more comfortable putt than 30. Yeah. Because 34, I can now step putt. Yeah. 34 feels closer to 25 than 30 does. Mm-hmm. So this eliminates that to where the players who are the putting's way too easy in that initial range for guys who are step putting. And so I think that's more what this is about. And I think changing it to 20 meters, it just eliminates all of it because by the time you get outside of there, like I said, that is such an uncommon throw-in distance. Mm-hmm. And a lot of players are already doing a more traditional jump putt, which I feel is a little bit closer to being legal consistently versus the step putt. Once you get outside of 60 feet, guys go to a jump putt more often. And I think that's a little bit easier to do legally or easier to notice when someone's like midair doing an Air Jordan jump putt. So I like the proposed change. We'll see. I also like this route of like, hey, this could be a big change for the sport. Instead of us just seeing it come out at like a proposed rule change at the end of the season, we're now seeing the head of the PDGA being transparent and being like, hey, we're talking about this internally. Let's go ahead and get conversation going. Hear a bunch of feedback. Yeah. So when we propose a change, we already have feedback. We already know what pros are thinking, we've already heard a lot. So now when we propose a change, we already generally know what people are going to think instead of it being a rush process. If we propose a change in November like they did for the timeouts, came out of the blue, propose a change in October, November, get a bunch of pushback, and they're like, oh, it's an awful idea. When it's like, well, maybe there was something in between that if this was proposed in, here we are in December, you could have had plenty of time to get a bunch of feedback, ask a bunch of questions, maybe be like, okay, after the feedback, we think, like Trevor said, maybe it should only be 15 meters. Maybe 20 is too far. And then you get feedback on that, and then by the time you propose it, you've already ran it through a few times.
Yeah, and also like you get all the initial like emotional reactions from people out right now so that if they do change the rule, they're not in as much.
Yeah, maybe like when they were talking about throwing the disc through the cage counts. Like that would have been a good one.
That would have been a great one. Out there. That would have been a great one. But
I think I think it makes sense. It's going to be that. If the change does come, it's going to be a hard change. Because think about how many like weekly leagues there are out there and how many old guys are playing that aren't paying attention to that. Like, what are they doing? Like, are they making the changes locally?
All of the unsanctioned
old
stuff.
Circle rules.
Definitely. Because I still remember like when we played the Brawl series.
Lost disc rule.
They played by the old lost disc rule.
That was for the sake of time, though, not to take a skill.
Yeah, but I'm saying it was a similar thing of like, I could definitely see them being like locally unsanctioned, being like, we're going with the old circle rule here, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Like, I think that would definitely stick, but sanctioned, you don't have an option.
Stepping off putts is going to take a lot longer now.
But you probably do it a lot less often.
You think?
Yeah. Well, because think of how now you're inside, every time you're inside 60 feet, you're inside the circle.
Yeah, but how do you? But I feel like people's eye for I'm inside 60 isn't as good as their.
But I'm saying
there's gonna be an adjustment period.
I feel like you don't land at that like right at 60 feet crazy off, and maybe you do.
We wouldn't know. That's what I'm saying. We're never looking at it. You just know you're outside the circle.
But also, I think
that'll be a weird one to adjust.
There will also be on the local level. A lot of people will just eliminate jump putts altogether because they'll get outside 60 and just go to a throw, and inside just be so then it won't even matter.
Maybe I need to do a tutorial on my big con frisbee toss.
This will take
a lot of people benefit from it.
This will take out that whole complaint of like I can't stand when there's obstacles inside the circle because like now there has to be 60 feet. I mean you can't just clear out every basket.
Yeah, that's just a parking lot at that point.
People will probably still want it. You'll start hearing pros be like, I was 58 feet and I was in a pine tree. Are you kidding me?
Yeah,
why is that inside the circle?
The circle is gonna be big. It's a big old circle. 60 feet radius, like marking that thing is that now we got to buy like extra of those little tassel things.
But on the Pro Tour, they're already doing it. Oh, the Pro Tour, they're already marking circles too.
Yeah,
at a tiki course, you're not going to be able to do a run up.
Run ups are always legal. You have to display balance after.
You're right.
Yeah,
that makes sense.
Just display balance after.
Do you mind if I ask a question that's going to take us 40 seconds to discuss? Maybe
go for it.
Brody made me feel like a crazy person for claiming that his Roaches has so much more glide than my Wizards. Can you guys just make me feel a little bit more safe?
Well, I can just walk you through.
Oh, because he was.
This is the.
Bert doesn't even believe in glide.
No, this is the. I stand by this, okay?
Tell everybody what happened to lead us to this.
So, Konner, I putt with bangers all year. Konner putt with Wizards. Neither putter is really known for their glide.
Low glide putters.
Yeah. So, we were doing our putting playoff at Brody's house, and we both said before, like, hey, we're flying to Dallas. We're not going to bring the bunch of putters with us. Let's just both agree to use Roaches.
Brody has a million.
Probably something that was slightly more to my advantage, but we both agreed before because I've putted with.
I don't know, man. You've been putting with alien putters all year, so
and so
not really.
we got to Brody's house, and when we started warming up, both of us were like, "If you sneeze, this disc goes to the basket."
Yeah,
like you barely toss this thing. Like I literally. At like 35 feet, I had to adjust my step putt because if I was stepping and throwing as hard like how I normally would, it just was going into his backyard like 60 feet.
I mean, I think that we warped his basket with how much we hit band.
Yeah. And so even 20 footers, it just felt like I opened my hand and they went, they were chain high.
It was crazy. We had to make serious adjustments to how we putted during it. Like to where I
was
got
straddle putting.
At 35 feet, I was like, I need to make up points, and I kept on throwing jump putts, and they were just hitting band every time we're going way over. So I just stopped jump putting or step putting,
and you were dialed in.
And I was dialed in because I felt like I literally all I had to do was barely touch the disc out of my hand. Like, it was crazy.
So then we were saying that to Brody, and Brody was like, inside the circle, that doesn't make a difference. And to attempt it, he basically just took a Roach and threw one, and then took a Wizard right after and threw one. And he was like, see, like that, they look the same, which I agree with. That experience he had.
He acted like I believed in the Easter Bunny.
But you have to remember, has only ever putted with Roaches.
Yeah.
He got into the sport, he putted with Roaches, that's it. If he switched to putting with a Wizard, I think after 2 or 3 rounds, he would then be like, I have to throw this putter so hard to get to the basket. Because you don't notice it. Because I've went through, and I tell people all this time, like, if you're inside the circle, like I will blanketly say when people are choosing putters, all discs fly the same with inside 30 feet.
Yeah.
Because it's overall true. Because you don't have to change your putt that much. But where it's drastic is when your body's gotten really used and you've built muscle memory with a low glide putter.
Whenever we've done putting streams of putting with that putter for hours.
And then you try a high glide putter. Is the actual difference minuscule? Definitely. Very minuscule. But it feels drastic because you have so much muscle memory that it's like, I have to throw this disc X hard from 25 feet to get it there, and then that's hitting band. Yeah. And so it feels really drastic. But if you throw them right next to each other, it is minuscule.
All you need to know is Konner has never, ever, ever stepped up and hit the band like 5 times consecutively like he did. Like, that's all you need to know.
Yeah, but that's why if any of us, if I got you 2 putters and you didn't know which one was high glide or low glide, let's just say you took that knowledge out and you threw them next to each other, you could probably make an educated guess, but I don't think you're going to feel. But then if you putted with a Berg,
it takes a long time.
All like for 2 months, and then you tried that high glide putter again, a glitch, then you'd feel it.
That makes a long time.
Yeah, I think that's why he just was like, "You're crazy," because he just threw them right next to each other.
Yeah, that makes sense. Thank you. I just needed the emotional support.
Well, you can just watch it. But what I will say is, and this is why I don't like high glide putters only on the course. I love them in practice putting because you can get dialed. You can get. It's so effortless to rep it out. So like. In practice putting, I would probably putt the best with like a Roach, an AVR, something like that.
Yeah.
Why I don't like it on the course is I have no trust in wind. I don't like putters that I feel like have a lot of glide and wind terrify me, especially headwinds.
Yeah.
And then I don't like comeback putts.
Correct.
So that's why I love low glide putters because it gives me confidence in wind, and I feel like they don't go way past the basket.
I very much box myself in because I know I'm just so much a better putter with the high glide putter. That's kind of the direction I've been going in with my putters. But you're right. I mean, you miss the basket and you're like, how did I get to 30 feet?
I'm willing to sacrifice
only halfway through the circle.
Making more putts. Like, I know I'm going to miss more putts low with my bangers or with PA3s or whatever I end up putting with. I know I'm going to miss more putts low, but I would prefer to do that and have drop-ins as my par putts versus I'm going to make a few more putts, but then, like, it's with my spin putt.
I'm gonna make a few more putts. Putting with bangers anymore.
I'm gonna make a few more, but then when I miss, I'm gonna have to make a 25-foot comebacker for my par.
You know, we only have one more video we have to film with our old putters.
It's exciting.
It's a monthly match.
I don't know what to do about this new information. My head is scrambled eggs. My heart is fruitcake. I don't know what to do.
Voodoos.
You gotta give it a
try.
You gotta
try the voodoo.
I love the Wizard. I love the relationship I have with the Wizard.
You can still throw it. You can still be the Wizard guy, but I think your putting would be disgusting with voodoos. I think you should try voodoos.
Nobody's the voodoo guy. Not a single human.
And think of the Konner Voodoo Doll stamp.
That would be sick. Konner Voodoo Doll.
I don't really love the name Voodoo. I'm not gonna lie.
Oh, you like Wizard?
Would you rather have
Harry
Warlock?
Potter?
It's all in the same realm.
It is all in the same realm.
Yeah,
All right, it's time
Voodoo just
for-
sounds a little more evil.
Fan favorite segment, Trevor's Trivia, right after these here messages.
All right, chaps. Playing a little newlywed game today. This
Love
is
it.
a while
You know
back.
we love this. Hunter and I did just get married.
Yep, that's why we were in Dallas.
So
Easier
I've
to
got
live there.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 prompts.
6.
Oh,
You guys are
we're going to prom?
You guys are going to be answering for each other. So Konner, if you can use your phone to write down yours, and then Hunter, you can just type yours on the laptop. Just
tell me what
so
to
you
do.
can lock it
What
in.
if I want to use Hunter's laptop and he wants to use my
So
phone?
I'm going to give you a prompt.
Here, I'll throw it to you.
You are going to be Konner. You'll be writing down what you think Hunter will say, vice versa.
Okay.
And then if you get it right, you earn a point. Now,
Okay.
and you need to answer from the heart. No, just trying to throw the person
Yeah.
off.
Oh, yeah. Is it like hot in here to you guys, or am I just
You're
like
in
sick?
a hoodie. I'm doing all right.
I'm all right.
I think I'm just sick.
I mean, it's a little warmer than normal.
I'm sweating.
But I'm not uncomfortable yet.
Okay.
Okay, the first prompt is
Also, I'm nervous. About my
Who's
prompt.
answering this from the heart?
you are
So we're
both
we're
answering
both
from the
saying
heart, but
this is my answer, and I'm saying this is Connor's answer.
your answer from the heart you don't need to write down. You're just going to say it. You
Okay.
are writing down what you think the other
Gotcha.
person's going to say.
Understood.
How do we reveal this?
So when I'm done, I'll say, Hunter, what did you think Konner said? Or what do you think
No.
Konner said? And you're going to say it, and then he's going to show you on his phone. Nope, wrong way around.
Yep.
You're going to say, I'm going to say, Hunter.
What is your answer?
What is your answer?
And I'll
You're
say
gonna
my
say it,
answer,
and then
and
Konner
he's-
will show you
yes.
if he got it right.
Okay,
and
okay,
vice
okay.
versa.
Yep.
Okay, so the first one is, the best month of the year to play disc golf is blank. So what do you think Konner would say? And Konner, what do you think Hunter would say? Right.
Connor doesn't know doesn't know which month comes where.
Well, I know your answer, Hunter. I have a pretty good guess, I should say.
I'm just gonna write down what I think.
So I'm writing down Hunter's answer.
Yes.
I'm writing down what I think Connor will either be persuaded to or say. I think
that
if he doesn't say
I
this,
think that you're giving away hints.
No, I'm just saying. I think if he doesn't say,
And by that I mean you're confusing me
There's
more,
12
and now I
months.
don't know what to say.
I just think that even if you don't give this answer, once I say this answer, you're gonna be like, you know what? I agree.
Bold strategy. I don't think he's going to switch, considering that would help him lose.
Well, no, he isn't. He doesn't know what I wrote.
True.
Let me go through the months in my head.
Actually, I'm switching back. I'm switching.
Oh, you second guesses.
It's basically I can't say it. I should probably go a little later.
I missed a month.
See, that's is the problem. Connor doesn't.
No, there's one troublesome month for me. I never know when it is.
All right, I'm ready.
Interesting. Do you have your month, Konner?
I can't.
Do you have my month written down?
I have Hunter's month.
Okay, I'm ready for
I
my
know Hunter's month. I don't know mine.
Okay.
I'm ready for my month.
Hunter, what was your month?
October.
Dang it!
What did you write down?
I said November because I thought it was getting a little bit chillier, and I know you like that little bit of chills. Is a little bit chillier than October.
That's why I like October just because
right? Because November comes after October.
It does. You're wearing
Thank
shorts and
goodness.
you're wearing shorts and t-shirts, but like you have the occasional hoodie day thrown in there.
That makes sense.
And
October's
it's
a good
never
month.
it never gets like so hot that, except for when you're USDGC, but it never gets like so hot that you're like, oh, it's miserable. But it's never so cold that you're like, oh, it's miserable.
we had a good October this year.
I think October.
But you like my answer, November?
Yeah, right
Thank
idea.
you.
Yeah, right
Sorry,
idea. Right
Konner.
time.
Hold on one second. One second.
I've got Connor's written down.
I've decided here.
He's look at calendar.
I had to look at a calendar. Okay. I don't think okay. Whatever. I have my answer.
Okay, what is your answer?
I'm gonna say September.
I had it at one point. I chose April. Mainly because
I would have thought you would have gone
I don't
summer.
care.
I was thinking,
as long as it's not winter.
I was thinking it's either that transition period where it's not 95. But why I ended up going April instead of September was I thought Konner might like more coming out of winter into spring than he does knowing the winter's coming.
I thought about that, but honestly, then I thought about Lynchburg College and how that sounds miserable because all the green is going to destroy me.
gosh.
So yeah.
Okay, 0 for 1
I
with you.
had September written down at one point. I changed it 4 times.
Next prompt.
I'm not picky as long as it's not freezing cold.
The next prompt is, the most underrated disc manufacturer is blank.
Underrated disc manufacturer.
Yeah.
Okay, I have Hunters.
Okay.
I don't have
you
mine
writing
yet.
it
But
down?
I've written Connor's down, so Konner can answer first.
I don't know. I don't have Hunters, man. Trevor, I don't have Hunters. I do not have it. I have mine.
You have what your manufacturer is?
No, it's Samurai Jack.
Okay. What is it?
Hunter, do you have mine written down?
I have yours written down. Yeah,
Mine's Gateway.
yeah, easy.
That's correct. 1 for 1.
I felt like it would be it would be dishonest if I went anywhere else.
Yeah,
no,
I wrote Gateway down.
Yeah, Gateway. I feel like a lot of times Gateway is aptly rated for the diss that people have felt from them. Get your hands on a little bit more though.
All right. Can you write down what Hunters is?
I think I have Hunters. I think I have Hunters, and if I don't, I think that my reasoning will sway him.
Okay.
So you mind if I tell him first?
I have one.
What is it?
Millennium.
Oh dang, that's not what I wrote down.
What'd you write down?
I don't know Prodigy.
I thought about it, but
because they get a lot of hate for a lot of things, but they actually do have a lot of good diss.
They do. It's just my only qualm is as someone who's like, what I throw can affect what other people are throwing via YouTube. I have Prodigy that I absolutely love, that I think are phenomenal. I'm scared to get people excited about how my M4 flies or about how my whatever.
Oh, I get what you're saying.
Because then they might go buy it because of that, and I don't have trust in Prodigy's quality fully yet.
Okay.
I'm getting closer.
That. That's why the two Gateway discs that I push are the Wizard, which I've never thrown a Wizard that flies different than any other Wizard, and the Shaman, and they're all straight understandable.
I chose Millennium just because I love Innova's plastic so much, and it is the same.
Reasonable.
Yeah. That's good. Millennium is underrated.
Yeah.
Next prompt, a little bit of a different direction here.
Oh, we're still playing. I don't know what I'm doing.
If you say you throw the disc really far, I would expect you to throw at least blank feet.
So if I'm
if someone says,
if somebody said
really
it
far,
to you, yeah, if somebody said it to you.
Wait, someone said it to me, or I just said?
No, if somebody came up to you and said, like, so I'm saying, if you say this, if you say you throw the disc really far, I would expect you to throw at least blank. So if
like
somebody
a guy
walks
comes
up to
into
you
the
and said,
store,
I threw the disc really far,
random.
Yeah, somebody random. You're expecting them to at least be able to throw this far.
Oh, this is Konner's answer.
So yeah, what would Konner say, and what would Hunter say? So these might be pretty similar. They're less personality and more just like what
you're expecting them.
Yes, I would expect you to throw. If you come up to me and you say, I throw really far, I would expect you to throw this many feet.
All right, I have mine and Konner's.
Okay, I have mine.
Okay, Hunter, what do you think, Konner?
Nope. What do I write?
What would your answer be?
500 feet.
That's what I said, 500 feet.
Wow.
Yep.
Konner?
My answer is 500 feet.
No, I had 400 for Konner.
I'm really 500.
I wouldn't expect somebody to say I throw really far and then throw 400
I think my answer.
feet.
Well, I didn't know if you'd say. I didn't know if your logic was gonna be like, well, I mean, in the scheme of things, that is really far.
My answer would have been 450. Because if you say 450, like
no, because I don't
it.
think I throw very far, and I throw 450.
That's a good point.
Yeah.
But
like I would never walk. That was where I'm basing it on. Is I would never walk up to someone and be like, I throw the disc.
Well, and
really
also,
far.
and that's why I was listening to what you were saying.
And I can throw 450.
But that's why I was listening to what you were saying, because you said I expect them to throw that, but not they probably actually throw this far. Like, because if somebody walks up to you and says I throw really far,
they better throw 500. Yeah,
they either really do or they're just kind of douchey.
Yeah. So it's 1-1.
But throwing 450 feet probably puts you in the 1% of disc golfers.
Yeah, but I don't think some people who throw 450. So many people say they do that. If someone says they throw really far, they are throwing farther than 450.
Yeah,
probably.
They probably. I would say if somebody says they throw really far, they have it recorded on UDisc that they threw 550 one time downhill with a crazy tailwind, but with a Blizzard Destroyer, but. This is my story basically. But they have it. They have the proof.
I have proof of I threw 611 feet once.
Dang.
Downhill, 30-mile-an-hour tailwind.
I think mine was like
strike.
crazy. Mine was disgusting. Whatever my top distance was, it was such a lie. I mean, it happened, but
okay. Next one. I think this many discs in a bag is officially too many.
Officially too many.
Yeah.
Okay, I have my answer.
Yeah.
Wait, I'm not writing down my answer. I'm writing down Hunter's answer.
Correct.
Officially too many. I kind of feel like me and Hunter can have. I can't say that. Well, I guess that doesn't really make a difference.
Right, does Konner go first this time? Or does it matter?
I'll go first.
Okay. Konner, what's your answer?
My answer is 30 discs.
Nailed it.
Right on the dot.
Okay.
Mine.
Wait. I need to write down yours.
Okay.
30's a lot.
Okay, I have mine.
Okay.
All right.
Mine is. I feel bad because I think for the sake of the game, it's a little unfair to go like really specific.
No, I mean it's your number.
But a 28 to me is the number to stick out. Let's go.
Look at that.
I was gonna say 28. I think 28 was for me.
Because
28 on my phone.
To me, like 27, you can like reasonably fit into like a bag. I feel like especially if you go a little driver heavy. But like once you hit 28 to like 30, I wrote for Konner because that was the first number that came to my head. But I was like, but really, like once you get above like 27, 28, you're just like you're just carrying a lot of discs to carry.
That's exactly what I thought. I thought, you know what, 30. That's like I could get if you're getting up in the higher 20s. I'm like, you could probably convince me. Oh, utility, whatever, different plastic, whatever. But 30, And then I was like, for Hunter, nah, he's going down a little. That's a good one.
I felt a little bad. I almost just went 30 because I was like, there's no way you guessed the exact number. But you did.
You did it.
Nailed it. But yeah, 28 just.
I got really excited whenever you said a specific number. I was like, oh yeah.
You don't need more than 25.
I carry like 20.
But I respect if you carry 26, 27 because you're like, well, I have backups. Whatever.
Well, you're talking to cart guys right now. The cart guys, they carry a lot of discs.
Cart guys, like, look, your cart doesn't have to be full. Just because you can doesn't mean you should.
But here's at the end of the day, it doesn't have to be full if you're trying to be a touring disc golfer. If you're playing this game for fun where you're throwing toys, because that's what it is, you can throw as many as you want to because it's fun.
Also, cart, it doesn't even hurt your back, so go ahead.
Yeah. That's how I feel. If you're trying to become better at disc golf and being a touring professional and everything, you gotta limit the discs you're throwing. If you're going out and you're playing with your buddies and you're like, oh, you want to see how this crazy overstable disc flies? You want to see how this crazy overstable disc flies? Ooh. Throw as many as you want. It's a good time. It's fun. Discs are fun.
Remind me after this because I don't want to leak it, but I have a good video idea.
Oh,
yeah. Okay. I came up with it over this weekend, and by I mean a new tool I found.
Okay, here's the next one.
AI.
Whoa.
We'll do one more.
Okay, my Trev.
We're at 2-2, right?
I believe so.
We're doing pretty well.
Once I am blank feet away from the basket, I'm no longer even 50% sure I'll make the putt. So once
this
you get
is personal?
Yes, personal. Once I get to this distance, I'm no longer even 50% sure I'll make the putt. I was going to say 100% sure, but I'm like, that's like
50% is pretty low.
It's half the time.
But this is like, I'm like, yeah. All right, I have mine, and I wrote Konner's down.
Oh, gosh. Okay, I have Hunter's. Well, I should need to write that down. Okay,
Okay, Hunter. What is your answer?
My answer is 30 feet.
I wrote down 30 feet.
Yeah.
That's what I've written.
Konner.
My answer is 28 feet.
Oh! I went 25.
Dang.
I was thinking
25, I feel pretty confident I'm half and half at least at 25.
I was going to say half and half probably. That's a tricky one, though.
That was a tricky one.
Mine would probably be, I think I'm similar, Konner, where I would probably said 25 and been like, I'm probably about halfway. I probably also would have been right around there.
Yeah,
I was just thinking increments of 5.
No, that makes sense.
Because I was thinking in the game that we do up here,
right?
Like once I get to 30, I'm like, if I make 5, I'm happy. But when I'm at 25, I'm like, I should really be making like 6 to 8.
Mine is directly in the middle of that. Because 25, I feel confident with at least 50, but 30, I don't feel confident with that. I'm not confident I'm going to get 50%. So I'm like right somewhere in the middle. I respect it.
Well done, Hunt.
That's a fun game. Trevor.
Time. All right.
Wait, did we have a winner?
You won. You beat me by a point.
Oh yeah, that's right. Konner did it.
Okay. I couldn't tell that was a game where we were going against
you beat me 3-2. 3-2. GK Pro is no mo. GK Pro has rebranded to GoThrow. Why? Great question. So basically they launched GoThrowDG.com. The big announcement here, obviously the rebrand, whatever. The big announcement though was they are launching a professional disc golf tour with 7 stops currently on the schedule. So it's a competing tour to the Disc Golf Pro Tour as far as I can tell. I reached out to them on Instagram and asked them like 7 questions of like, hey, I really would like to know more information. Explained to them I'm the host of Grip Locked, explained what our podcast was. I didn't know if they had listened or not, and they did not respond. So I don't have more information, unfortunately.
They hate your guts.
No, I don't. No. They probably just want to handle releasing the information themselves, which I've
seen your guts. They hate that.
Oh, yeah.
But because I just have a lot of questions about like, is why? GK Pro before their skins match were all tied to the tour. The Disc Golf Pro Tour is actually selling tickets to GK Pro skins matches, right? Is that still going to happen? I don't know. Because now obviously they have their own tour, which appears to be competing with the Pro Tour, although a lot of them are on separate weekends and they kind of follow the tour slightly. So it is something where people can play. There's some rumors going around. And Drew Gibson, I believe, said that this isn't true, but I don't know. There's rumors of that like a Disc Golf Pro Tour card holder can't play off the Disc Golf Pro Tour. I don't think that's true. I think that it was more on a weekend a Disc Golf Pro Tour event was happening. You couldn't play another event that weekend. And I think they actually took that out from what I understand, but I haven't seen any of that, so I don't know. But regardless, I don't think that that would apply here because from what I can see, these happen on off weekends in the general tour area because they're trying to attract the pros to come to their tour. But it will be interesting because I don't know. They haven't announced sponsors, so this isn't like the GoThrow Tour presented by Discraft or anything like that. They've announced locations, and they're using some cool ones. They're going to go to Eagles Crossing. They're going to go to Failure Lake. They're going to go to, like, Hideaway Disc Golf Ranch. They're using a lot of, like, well-known courses that aren't on the tour.
Okay.
So I think that's a good step for them. And the only event that has additional details as of right now is the one at Eagles Crossing, which is the Masters Invitational at Eagles Crossing. And they're putting out there, you can go ahead and buy tickets to this if you wanted to go out there. But they, which I think they're going, never mind. But tournament purse over $50,000 with $20,000 going to first place. So that's the only one I found that's like has announcement. I can't find other ones. I haven't looked at all of them, but I went through several of them. I couldn't find them on Disc Golf Scene. I couldn't find them on PDGA because the big question here is who's playing these events.
Yeah.
Right? Because all of this is great. All of it's fun.
It's a pretty nice purse.
GoThrow's going to cover it.
Yeah, so that answers your question. Everybody that can have
this
two
event
legs to get there.
For sure.
Yeah.
Eagles Crossing
20K
for sure.
to first place.
But I'm saying, is that just because the guy at Eagles Crossing, or is he funding the tour?
Right.
And this is like every tour stop's going to be like that? Those are all the questions. I don't know, because if every tour $20,000 going to first place and it's less competitive than the Pro Tour, because I'm sure guys like Ricky, Paul,
it won't be less competitive for long.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying is up front, it's going to be a very tempting thing if you're.
Oh yeah.
You know, because it won't be as full of a field initially, if I had to guess. But if every single
Probably
one has
close.
20,000 to first place,
Yeah, I'll say
there's going to be a lot of guys
it'll
that are
probably
chasing
be
it.
close. Well, here's the thing too is, like, that was the big question for me because I genuinely don't believe. I mean, now, unless they were approached with big time funding and they decided to just go for it, I don't think they would have just walked away from what they had going, because I think they kind of had their bread and butter with the skins stuff. You're working alongside the Pro Tour. You're getting select pros to kind of make this really fun visual event to either go watch in person or watch online. But the key to all this stuff is the dollar sign. And if they have fully funded events, heck, it might not even matter if you're on the same weekend as a Pro Tour event. Like, you're going to draw players. 20K to first place, 50K purse.
This has not been said, but here's outside looking in, because this is interesting to me, is they announced this move, and then shortly after that, and by shortly after I mean like the next day, they were releasing Playa Lucia, some type of disc golf events going on in Puerto Rico, and they were releasing coverage of that. At the beginning of said coverage, you have the GoThrow announcement. So they put Luke Humphreys, the same video they put online, they put that at the beginning, they announced they were changing to GoPro, all of that, or GoThrow, all of that. Weird to me is the graphics during said video are still GK Pro. So the branding didn't change, the colors didn't change during that video.
Yeah.
Which makes me think this got rushed for some extra outside reason. Because if I was planning this...
Their website's back.
But I'm saying, if I was planning this and I knew this was coming, right, and I'm looking at the calendar and I know, hey, part of when I'm announcing this is on this coverage.
Yeah. Well, even the announcement with Humphreys is like pretty low key. Like, he's just kind of standing there.
Yeah, and they didn't announce it on Instagram. They just changed their branding. Their link in their bio still says GK Pro Disc Golf. It doesn't say GoThrow. There's
their
a lot of
logo
stuff.
is a font.
Their logo is just a font, which their initial logo I'm fine with. Their skins logo is one of the worst things I've ever seen. It looks terrible.
Hit him with it.
But a lot of it to me says something happened that rushed it.
Valid point.
And so if I'm looking at it objectively, GK Pro has been removed from the coverage team. I think that they kind of help their contractors with the Pro Tour. I think their cameramen are also Pro Tour cameramen, as far as I understand. So they're tied in, but GK Pro is not doing Pro Tour coverage anymore, haven't been. And what they are producing, anyone could do, as long as you have access to the pros. And the Pro Tour owns something called Jomez. So to me, what I'm seeing is, I wonder if the Pro Tour said, we're going to do our own skins matches next year, and now GK Pro all of a sudden lost their potential revenue, their main source of videos, and scrambled, got this together announce the 7 events on off weekends, and now it allows them to have access to that pros again on their own terms.
Yeah,
great. That's great for them.
Yeah, I'm just gonna be so interested to see if they're actually able to put on 7 events with 50K purses, like.
Well, but what is going to be
where are you hoping to recoup that?
What is going to be interesting?
Because you got to have sponsors.
Yeah, what is going to be very interesting here is up front, it's not going to compete with the Pro Tour as far as the weekends and stuff like that. It will compete if you're getting the same players viewership-wise. And if it's not being on DGN, which it's not, it's on GK Pro, which now GoThrow, sorry, it's on GoThrow. That's not going to make the Pro Tour very happy, because if then people start leaving DGN because, well, you know what, I can scratch my disc golf itch watching my favorite pros on here, then tour card holders might actually be told, similar to PGA and Live, if you choose to play on the GoThrow Tour, you're not a Pro Tour player.
Yeah.
You have to choose.
It'll get a little cutthroaty.
That is where things could get very interesting. So to me, this season might go off without a hitch, and the GoThrow skins matches might still be happening at Pro Tour events, and it all kumbaya. What I'm expecting is, because if I'm the Pro Tour, this is what I'm looking at, right? From a business perspective, why am I letting this outside entity come in? And yes, I'm selling tickets to it, but they're getting all the YouTube sponsorship, all of that revenue for running an event that only happens because I exist.
Yeah.
If the Pro Tour didn't get all the pros together, the skins match couldn't happen there.
Yeah.
Why am I letting someone else control that when I have the means necessary to do it myself?
Yeah.
And so that would be a very easy. The Pro Tour's like, hey, they're able to get hundreds of thousands of views.
Yeah.
Why would I let them keep doing that? Maybe I can even, people love this, I can put it on DGN as another value add, whatever.
It's going to be very interesting to watch how
So that is me just speculating. That hasn't been announced that the Pro Tour stiff-armed them out of skins matches or anything like that. But when I was just looking at it, and I'm like, this all to me feels like they didn't want to make this announcement. It feels like maybe they were hoping eventually to get to this point, hoping eventually to rebrand, and it just happened because mainly, if you're trying to launch a rebrand and you have coverage that's during the off season with Kevin Jones, James Conrad, all of that's doing very well coverage-wise, it's getting a lot of views, why are you still using your old branding in it? That seems like a very easy way to launch this new thing.
Right.
Yeah.
And so for me, that means we weren't planning on announcing this yet. We have to, because we have to get it in front of people so that when whatever is next comes, we're ready. I am very excited and interested because, that's 7 more stops, 7 more opportunities for players to make more money, and 7 more things for us to watch some disc golf.
Yeah.
That was one of the questions I asked them is have any players committed? Do you have a list of, Gannon Burr said he's going to play 5 of them. So, you know what I mean? Because, it'll still be cool if you have James Conrad, Kevin Jones.
You got to get the names.
But, if you don't have Ricky, Gannon, Isaac, Calvin, if you don't have those guys, then it is just a subpar product.
Well, the reason the skins matches were so big is you were getting a really small, one card worth of awesome names with money on the line, and it was a different format. That's what made it a desirable product. Now, and I did notice in that event description it said there is going to be a skins match.
Yeah.
So curious to see if they film that, market that, because is there an audience that wants to just watch another extra disc golf tournament? Now, as far as local ticketing sales, if you're going to places where the tour isn't going otherwise, then that'll, and here's another reason the tour could be upset. If you try to go too close to their locations, you could poach tickets.
Yeah.
Well, Gannon Burr's coming closer next week, so why would I travel 3 hours to the Pro Tour
notice,
event?
so right now the only one, like I said, that has tickets available is the Masters at Eagles Crossing.
Yeah.
And they're still charging your typical
so much money.
Yeah, I don't understand that. If you're gonna compete with the Pro Tour, then my first step would be do everything that people
Undercut
are asking the Pro Tour to do.
Yeah.
I would have tickets be either free or dirt cheap, because what you would need to do is steal the traffic from the Pro Tour. Once you've done that, now you can start to monetize it. But if it's I'm choosing either or, and one's the Pro Tour and the other, a VIP early bird pass is $480.
That's just silly.
Thursday fan pass early bird is $30. Sunday's $50 if you want to just get on the ground at Eagles Crossing. Now, this is just the Eagles Crossing, so I don't know if every tour event's going to look like that. I don't know. Maybe Eagles Crossing is setting this. I don't know. Because the other ones
this is a weird situation.
Don't have it, but because they're going Hideaway Disc Golf Ranch. They're going to Persimmon Ridge in Arkansas. Eagles Crossing.
Because the Hideaway
Kayak Point in Washington.
The Texas one, I'm assuming, is during when they're like in Texas.
Yeah, March 8th.
So that's going to be a perfect example of like if you're the Pro Tour and you're going to poach people from your event potentially.
Well, let's look at what's going on around. Like March 8th is when they're doing that one. So it's the week before Waco.
Yeah.
In Terrell, Texas, where is Terrell, Texas to Waco?
Because, man, the real tell will be when the roster comes out.
It's an hour, about 2 hours. Oh, it's right outside Dallas. Terrell, Texas is.
Yeah.
So what's the problem that the Pro Tour can see
all
there?
All the Dallas people will just go to that one.
If you get the big names to this one, and then the Dallas people are like, I could drive what looks like it's probably about 30 minutes outside of Dallas, or I have to drive an hour and a half to Waco.
That's bad news if you're the Pro Tour. That's bad news.
That's where things could get chippy. Is like
it's going to get ugly.
Could definitely, because then March 28th which is the week after Open at Austin, is in Arkansas. So that one's not really that big of a deal because that's on the way to Nashville. I think that's fine. Eagles Crossing is Tuesday, April 8th, which is on the way to Kansas City wide open, both in Missouri.
The thing is, like, even if they're on the way, like, if you're the Pro Tour, like, you need to be hoping to be able to get fans from a 4-hour radius.
Yeah,
like you need to be able to have that kind of draw.
Well, the
not a ton, but some.
May 23rd is when you're in Washington, and that's when the it's in between the Cascade Challenge in Washington and the Portland, Oregon. So yeah, they planned it very well. Of like, it's people's off weeks. It's not that far from where they are. But it is.
I think they're gonna get pros out there.
Yeah,
like, I think they're gonna.
The only thing the money will be the thing that sways your Rickies and the friendship. Like Calvin is good friends with these guys. I can see Calvin just doing it out of. But like the guys who aren't trying to grind on tour, those are the guys that the money's gonna sway them. But the guys who are just like, I'm out here anyways. Why the heck not?
Yeah, it's gonna be really interesting to track.
My initial reaction to it, and I think this is a little bit nitpicky, but I don't know why they called it the GoThrow Tour. I really feel like they should have came up with a more like elite name that would seem like I just don't think the GoThrow
to seem non-compete. Maybe
it just seems like it's just really like it sounds like a Discord username. Like it doesn't sound like a professional tour. Why not go with something simple? None of the names are taken except for Pro Tour.
That's the thing.
The Elite Tour, the Diamond Tour, like anything that sounds like a professional event.
Professional disc golf tour.
With their
the GoThrow
though,
Tour just sounds like a local event. Like I feel like if they're really trying to like be a professional tour with longevity, the GoThrow Tour just doesn't sound like it has longevity.
Right, that's what I'm saying.
Sounds old disc golf.
And it goes there. I'm sure that if they were rushed, there wasn't a lot of strategy, but their logo, package, branding, and everything does not communicate that to a point where like they must either be trying to not look threatening or they're genuinely not, and they're just trying to, I don't know, wait things out. I mean, in what earth does that blue go with that green and that yellow?
Well, but even if you're not trying to be a competitor or whatever, why would you choose something that doesn't have
the as high of a success? Let me put it this way: if you go out and name yourself the Pro Disc Golf Tour or something like that, the Disc Golf Pro Tour is knocking down your door that evening, banning every single player from it.
I think if you're going to do something, you might as well.
But it'd be shut down. No, they would ban all the players from it. It'd be shut down before it ever started.
Well,
I think this maybe. Unintentionally, but maybe it gives them a chance to exist.
Definitely doesn't sound threatening
as like the fun tour until they can get their claws in. Because if you go out and name yourself something that aggressive, the Disc Golf Pro Tour they have no choice but to shut it down immediately.
My thought is,
but that is a valid point to bring up.
I think this was launched out of necessity, not out of
like thinking and strategy.
Exactly.
Yeah,
so
totally.
They're not trying to go on the attack.
To me. Again, just what I see, okay, is I think that there is a lot of, and this is, if I had to guess, this tour isn't going to be successful. Just from the initial launch, it feels to me as though this was the GK Pro can see the writing on the wall. They're getting shoved out of the Pro Tour more and more. A lot of the guys that work for them or own GK Pro rely on it for their income, and it is. How can we still make money?
They need to pivot so they still exist.
Yeah.
Right.
That's what this feels to me. And so when you're thinking in that mindset of you're worried about tomorrow's paycheck, you're not worried about, I'm trying to take on the Pro Tour, you launch something like the GoThrow Tour, you don't really pay a lot of attention to the name, you don't pay, like GoThrow was GK Pro's like tagline, the GK Pro GoThrow. They just turned that into their brand, and that's what it feels like to me. So if I'm the Pro Tour, I could end this tomorrow. The only thing the Pro Tour has to think about is public perception.
Exactly.
And so that's where the Pro Tour has to dance around it a little bit, is they have all the power. They have everything that people want. And yes, this tour could grow into something, but what it looks like to me is that right now there's not money behind it. There's not, like, there might be just Eagles Crossing might be funding it. There's not a lot. It's just like we're trying to survive type thing. And so for the Pro Tour, I think that the Pro Tour can let's keep building the biggest and best product, because this doesn't feel like the tour that is going to dismantle the Pro Tour. I think the tour that could dismantle the Pro Tour would be something that comes out and you'll know it when you see it. Where they come out and
they got a lot of money.
They got a lot of money. They don't, similar to the Pro Tour, they had a lot of money. They didn't need to be profitable for years, and they could build what they wanted.
And they would announce events on the same weekends as Pro Tour events.
Yeah.
Like they would say
they might start this way of, we're going to do it in between, but we're going to have bigger purses. We're going to have it free for spectators, and we're just going to, that way, we're not competing. We're trying to cut. And then next thing you know, 2 years from now, when they feel like they're the bigger tour, they announce it on the same weekend the Pro Tour, and boom, it's over. So I think competition is always good. I think it'll make the Pro Tour question things that they're currently doing to make sure that players and fans want to choose them over this tour. It is going to be interesting.
Here's a question. Yeah. So before, they're doing skins matches and the assistance they're getting from the Pro Tour, ticket sales, and it's happening kind of in conjunction with the event, right? So I guess is a thought process, because, like, in my opinion, like, why don't you just do skins matches in the area of the Pro Tour events, just not at the exact same course, and just sell the tickets yourself? Like, why completely pivot? Where
maybe just to make sure, because disc golf doesn't have that many high caliber courses. So if you're at Idlewild,
but I don't think people show up.
Maybe
I don't think people watch skins matches.
Maybe
it'd be
hard to get the pros there.
It could also be something with the pros that week.
I feel like the money is what talks to them. Like, hey, we're 15 minutes away at another solid course. We're doing the skins match there. I'm interested. I'm surprised they didn't. Like, that's where my mind would have gone first before being like. I almost wonder if in their moment of panic, or maybe this was more premeditated than it seems, like somebody had to come to them with money. Like, I don't know. It's weird. It's weird to just whip up.
I think
70 or 50K.
Look, this is the second time we've seen GK Pro tied to Eagles Crossing.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I think it comes from them.
I think that if I had to guess, Eagles Crossing is funding this tour. Whoever is behind Eagles Crossing, if I had to guess. And so mainly because the Pro Tour will not go to Eagles Crossing, because Eagles Crossing has made a bunch of rules of, like, no advertising there, yada, yada, yada. It's also, the Pro Tour is trying to get closer and closer to big cities. And Eagles Crossing is an hour and a half away from a big city in the middle of nowhere. So if I had to guess, again, none of this is published, but just the fact that the only event that has preliminary is, like, ready with tickets is Eagles Crossing.
That makes sense.
They're on the schedule, and it feels Eagles Crossing-y.
Very, very Eagles Crossing-y.
Like, it feels like a good idea that was rushed and didn't have a lot of, like, thought into the execution. And that is how the original skins match felt when Eagles Crossing did it. So if I had to guess,
they got their hands all over
I
this.
think that because we know the guy behind Eagles Crossing is very wealthy. If I had to guess, that's what's going on here. Is he talked to them? They could see the writing on the wall with the Pro Tour. They're like, well, hey, this is a good opportunity, whatever, and they went with it. And I think that's probably where the funding's coming. That's why we haven't seen sponsorship announcement, all of that. And, I would have loved for them to have answered some of the questions so we don't have to speculate about all of it. But I also understand they might not know the answer to a lot of them, or they might just want to release it themselves.
And they're not going to make any money off this first event because they're not allowed to do any advertising.
Well, Eagles Crossing's like third or fourth event. That's what I was surprised with, is like the only one that has ticket sales is on their schedule. It is their third event.
That does say Panic, and it does say a lot of things.
That's what I'm saying, because Hideaway Disc Golf Invitational was their first one in March, and you can't buy tickets for it yet.
I'll say this. GoThrow Tour could do just fine, or it could be the perfect
Firefest of the year.
shoehorned candidate for Firefest of the year.
Well, it's not going to be Firefest of the year unless they, like, do some shady stuff and promise shady things. Like, if it's just something that they started and wasn't successful, that's not a Fire Fest.
Well, they're pouring in $50,000 at least into it, so yeah, that'd be a Fire Fest.
I feel like the Fire Fest
We've
is
given it out for a
whenever you're
lot
dragging
less.
down other people with you.
No, because the actual Fire Fest was just they promised something, and then when you showed up, you got your lunch was freaking a piece.
Yeah,
slice
you
of
were
bread with cheese
stranded on an island.
Nothing. Well, yeah, nothing that
Nothing
crazy
beats
happens
the
in
skins.
disc
Well,
golf
I
for us
don't-
to get.
Something that crazy happened last year, kind of. Whenever some people were promised money and didn't, or promised whatever.
That is true. That's
a
true.
Fire Fest.
Yeah,
That was a good old Fire
no, it will
Fest.
be. It'll be very interesting to see who plays it. Do all these events actually happen? He also said more is going to be announced. I don't know. Very, very curious.
It is
I
interesting.
just why that blue with that green and yellow.
I don't hate that. That's not criminal.
I don't.
I mean,
like
it's not
it.
I gotta
great.
look up their skins
It's
logo.
not great. Well, the Skins logo. The problem is,
I just don't get it.
well, you can't even find the Skins logo. It was only in.
was on
You had to
a
watch
YouTube
the.
video.
You had to watch the YouTube video.
When
to
the
see it.
logo package like popped out, all right.
I don't mind their this GoThrow
it's
logo.
fine.
I
It's
don't
fine.
mind that. I don't like the GT here.
It does look like an apparel brand. I mean, you're not
Yeah.
wrong, Connor, in that sense that like it's not even close to looking like Tour branding. We'll see what happens.
It's also this mock-up. People are gonna be very disappointed in the pre-order disc because you can't stamp a disc that big. I hate to tell you.
Well, I think also
I
a
mean,
big thing with them.
that's too goes back to like you. Come on, guys.
I think also a big thing with them is they probably draw a lot of their visual inspiration from Jomez, and Jomez branding is very playful, silly, not super professional.
Are they selling a board game? Go back to the shop. First of all,
Change
that's
disc
not
golf
working.
board game. Yeah, I don't know
And
what the frick is this.
they're a retailer. Exit out of this right now.
No, I don't know what this is.
It's a new board game, man.
Some board.
This
game.
is an interesting website.
Yeah.
Is this just GK Pro? Wait, is
This was GK Pro.
Okay.
Because you,
What
but
did
it just
GK
changed to
stand
Okay.
for?
GoThrow. I think it was. I don't know. I think
Garrett Kurthy.
I think it was whoever started it.
Gatekeeper?
No, it wasn't
Oh,
Gatekeeper.
whoa, dang, dark horse.
Pro version. But yeah. Anyways, GoThrow tour. We'll keep up with it.
Oh,
It'll be interesting.
Yeah, listen, we love interest.
To watch what happens.
We
So,
do love interest.
all right, in the bag this week. This is a long episode.
We are in the deep end of this episode right
Yeah,
now.
we're very deep in this episode. That's why I originally said next week we're going to take a look at the financials for House of Discs. Obviously, that's not happening this week because there will be a week in the offseason where nothing interesting happens.
Probably going to be next week.
And that'll be the best week to throw that in there.
That makes big sense.
So keeping that in my back pocket.
That's why we
But
call
in
you
the
Big
bag,
Sense.
last week I won. Konner came in second. Trevor came in third. Trevor took a risk. You know, he went with the Paul McBeth and Innova and like the old school disc golf and just
I had to side with my heart.
but we respect him.
yeah, no.
No,
a lot of your answers made sense. I just
No,
I warned you before. I don't think our audience.
I
can
think
take
I
that
knew
way.
I was taking a dive deep down, but like I said, I just couldn't. Like I couldn't sleep with like knowing that maybe those answers would have resounded.
Because
and I didn't take them.
Konner chose Paul McBeth and Discraft, and Konner came in second.
Your boy.
I won mainly because I think the Konner and Gateway answer. I think that.
Yeah, I mean the Konner Gateway was a
That is very funny.
that was a big time, but it's a smart answer. I can't.
y'all
can't
let it
fault.
stand.
No, I can't fault it. It was smart.
I gave 3 options for it to be vetoed.
It was
I don't
very
understand.
smart.
I don't understand how that wins, but I think it's funny.
What do you mean? What do you understand?
What do you-
Because
what
people
mean?
love you.
And you're synonymous with Gateway.
That's just funny to me. This whole situation is just funny to me.
I mean, half your bag's Gateway.
That's not the part that's funny to me. I just don't understand. I don't understand. I guess it is just our audience that we post this to.
Yeah.
So that makes sense. It's just a funny situation.
Well, who's more synonymous with Gateway, other than Dave McCormick, the owner?
No, he's not even as.
I'm not. Yeah, you're right.
That's
People
what
do.
I'm saying.
No, people sodomize me with Gateway.
Did you say sodomite?
Sodomized.
Sodomized?
Not
Yeah,
a real word.
What the frick's that?
He was trying to say synonymous.
It's the verb of synonymous.
Okay.
Read a book, hon.
So this week we're going with terms you use as a beginner that you don't use now.
Disc golf.
Disc golf
obviously.
terms, yes, that should be a good point. And
think
again,
that's a
this
good
is
answer,
terms
Trevor.
we
Disc
use as
golf?
beginners that you don't use now. So this isn't saying only beginners can use these terms. It's
Well,
just
yeah.
terms we use when we first got into the sport that we don't currently use now.
Not
Hey,
shots
hon,
at people
what's
that say
the order,
these
big
things.
dog?
I don't know that I care about the order that much this week.
Oh, you do, Trev.
You know,
think I do.
Connor has one that we all have on our list. So but he was the one who originally said it. So I'm gonna go Connor 1,
It's kind of you.
Hunter 2, Trevor 3.
I think I like being in that slot. I'll take that.
Now, if you don't take it there, Connor, it's fair game.
Are you 2?
I'm 2.
You can have it. I'm gonna
He's
go
not gonna
with.
take it either.
I'm gonna go with Frolf.
You said that when
you said that when you're a beginner? I'd never said froth.
I just feel like it's pretty. I just feel
That's
because
fair.
people getting into disc golf
That's-
know it as frisbee golf
That's a
or
different
froth,
line of thought.
and they find out very quickly.
Yeah,
that you don't call
that
it
is a different line of thought that I was taking. But that is a term that somebody who just got into this, like literally the day of potentially.
It takes 1 second
Until
for
they,
you to be
like,
like,
read
oh, we
their
don't
disc.
we don't
They
call
might-
it that. We don't call it that here.
Yeah.
I almost feel like I'm more likely to call it froth today.
Yeah,
was
that's
at
what
the beginning.
I have a couple answers on here that like once you've been playing a while, you do it ironically.
Because like I call them frisbees way more often
Yeah.
now than when I first got
Right.
in.
Actually,
No,
I don't. I did have frisbee on there, but then I was like, that's an ironic one because you do
I
call
almost
it
wrote
that,
that
then you
down.
don't call it that, and then you do call it that again.
Yeah. I almost wrote that.
I like it. I think it looks good.
I should just wrote down Innova.
I'm gonna
That's
go with.
pronounced
I'm gonna
That's
go with
funny.
this one for me. I just was obsessed with this
Yeah.
when I first got in, and I haven't said it in a long time, which was Tombstone.
Yeah.
Okay.
I used to try to throw Spike Heiser so high in the sky just because I wanted to stick because I saw one pro do it once, and I thought it was like the cool thing that made you good at disc golf, and so I was obsessed with Tombstones.
That's funny. I still say that time to time.
But
I
like,
just haven't said it in a long.
Yeah, it
just
makes
haven't
sense.
said it in a long
Yeah, it
time.
makes sense.
Trav,
Okay.
you get two.
I said froth.
I'm going to
You're
take
good.
Meat Hook.
Good one.
Used to love calling discs a Meat Hook if they were overstable.
I almost
Yeah,
wrote that
that's
down,
fun.
but I do still use that one, so
Yeah.
I'd be like,
I don't say it anymore, but I used to a lot. And then
Yeah.
I'm going to go ahead and I'll take Tree Love.
Yeah. Tree Love was the one that whenever whoever originally came up with the prompt, I said, oh, like Tree Love.
Yeah, that was a good one.
I'm gonna go with
That's one that's definitely like people catch on to fast.
this is
say a
one.
lot.
I don't know if everyone will agree with this one, but it's another one of those where like I use it a lot. I just call it something different now.
Okay.
Which was an S shot.
I had it on my list.
Yeah. Because now I just say I'm
Flex.
throwing a flex shot,
Yeah.
or I want
That's
to
a good
flex
point.
out, or I'm throwing high. But when I was obsessed with trying to get a disc to do an S shot.
S was like
in like an S turn.
because when you're
Yeah.
learning how to throw that shot and getting the disc to turn, it is a big deal.
yeah.
You're right.
Yeah,
and
you're
I was
right. S
obsessed with the word S shot.
very good answer.
And now I can't tell you the last time I said I need to throw an S shot.
Totally.
You got a bingo list so far, Hunt.
2 picks for Con.
Two picks for Big
Unironically, glad Trevor didn't take it. Mine is Innova.
That's so
actually what
funny.
it's. So I would spell it. I would put Innova, and then in parentheses pronounced IN-OH all caps -VA
Yeah, that's
close
a reason.
parentheses.
That's a relatable one.
Yeah, everybody called it Innova.
That's a good pick.
At first, you're in Dick's and you're like, oh, Innova frisbees.
You're saying it right. Innova.
Innova.
No,
Innova.
There was a
used to say-
different way
I
that
used to
people
say
said-
Innova. I used to say Innova. That's
Yeah,
how I used to say
Innova.
it. Instead of
That's it.
Innova, I said
Innova.
Innova. Like it's
You're
literally
just
how I
putting an
pronounce it.
pronunciation on a different part, but you're saying it the exact same way.
Correct.
There's a different way people said it. That was
Innova.
wrong.
No, I say Innova.
Right.
Yeah.
And I used to literally
sounds
say,
like Inna.
I've got an Innova rock in my back.
Yeah, Innova.
That's how I would say it. It's
So I think
it's the
that does it well because
enunciation
it's
that's different.
In-O-Va. You think that's the best way to spell that out?
Yeah,
Innova.
I think
Yeah,
it is. Because
Innova.
now you just say it really fast. You say Innova.
Innova, like almost I-N-N-A.
Yeah.
Innova.
That one blew my mind when I heard it was said that.
Yeah.
Like
And then I immediately was red in the face for every time I had said
Yeah.
it before.
Interesting.
What are you not getting right now, Hunt?
yeah, I don't.
What's the
if I hear
contention
people
here?
calling Innova, that sounds normal to me. Like Innova is how I say it, but I don't. Innova.
Nobody
that
says
doesn't-
it.
They
What?
sound like the same word to me.
They are the same
You're-
word.
no, you're
One
s-
is saying being enunciated completely differently. I've got an Innova
I wrote it
rock.
down.
I've got an Innova
No,
rock.
we're just
I wrote it
we're all
down.
just trying to understand each other.
Yeah.
That's all that's happening right
Yeah.
here.
Like, do you ever hear people say Innova anymore? I only
Yeah.
hear maybe people who just started playing.
Yeah,
that's it.
But there was definitely a different way that was way more criminal than that.
Because
Like that, I would have never corrected someone.
Yeah, I wouldn't correct
Well, I don't
anybody.
cor- yeah, I
either.
don't correct anybody
I just
with it
more
either.
so started hearing the pros say
Yeah.
Innova and being like, oh.
Exactly.
And like Dave
That's
Dunapay
what-
saying
That's what
Innova,
I've heard.
I'd be like,
Every one of my friends that got in this sport, they say Innova, and then they hear me say Innova, and then they
The
stop
only
saying
reason it's Innova is because it comes from innovate.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why you get
Yeah.
T off. But
Exactly. Yeah.
I just don't feel
that's,
like
that's why it's a
Innova's
good one
that-
because you only see
That
the
was
word.
that
you
one
don't
hits
hear it.
personal for me because
Yeah.
I was definitely.
Well, that's
in the
what
same
you
boat.
see the word,
I
you
think
don't hear it. When
I
you
just
see the word, you think Innova.
I remember
and then
there
you hear
being
it.
a way people pronounced Innova.
That was different
That
than
was-
those two.
Yes,
Like Innova?
because Innova doesn't.
How-
that doesn't ring a bell to me.
How
I've
would
never.
you-
That
We
doesn't
had
like,
different
seem
experiences.
weird.
Yeah, I say it only rings a bell for me because
But
I don't hear
there
it
is a
very
way
often.
that someone
but
said
I
Innova that was weird to me, and I can't remember what it is now
Okay.
because it's not Innova. Because
I'll be-
that
I'll
like
be-
if someone
There's going to
I'll
be
be
the
darned if-
brightest light bulb
At some
spring off
point.
at some point here.
I
and
just
then,
don't know how you could.
Okay, my other one that I'm going to say is I don't know if this one will relate to a lot of people, but it resonates so much I have to say it. Curl. I feel like I hear a lot of people when they first get into disc golf asking the disc to curl before they know turn or fade.
Oh, I've never heard
and so
that one.
I have a lot of friends that I'll hear the disc is going, they'll go curl, 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 like asking it to fade.
Interesting.
I say curl a lot, but in regards to rolling.
Rolling, yeah.
No, yeah, it's curl in regards to flight.
All right, back to me. I'm gonna go local route.
That's a very good one.
Yeah, that is a really good one.
Because that one was definitely one like when I was a beginner. Every time you like threw off the fairway, be like, oh, I'm thinking local route. Or I was always looking. I thought every hole had a local route.
Local route's a very good.
I just was like, I want to be the cool guy that knows what the local route is on this hole.
That
When
is
it's like, no, it's just fairway.
Excellent pick.
Would you mind putting it with my last one? Would you say curl in regards to flight?
Are we allowed to do that?
Okay, we don't have to. That's fine.
I don't know if are we allowing explanations?
Well, I put in OVA.
Well, that's a pronunciation.
That's fair.
Well,
I'm not trying to get beneath the rules.
If I'm not, should I do this then? Should I just have be in -o-va?
No, I think
in
pronunciation is fair because like it's something you can only hear it being said. You can't read it.
I'll let curl stand alone. I don't think it helps me, but I feel like I had to get it off my chest.
Okay.
My two last ones will be. I'm excited about this one. Am side and pro side. This is in regards to the chains. I'm explaining to it. But I always say strong side and weak side now, but people love to say am side.
The only thing that I think might, because I agree. I don't know if I've ever said it.
I didn't either.
But Ian loves the word am side.
He sure does. That makes you want to pick it even more.
I was like, that's the only thing that might hurt you. That commentary uses it so regularly.
It might, but that's just genuinely, that one just strikes for me because like when I hear am side, I'm like, I haven't said that since I probably first started playing disc golf. My last one, I'm going to take, there's one that like really resounds with me, but I just don't know if it's going to be super popular. And then there's one that I think might, I don't know if it'll hit as much. Oh man, these are tough. Sometimes I take these picks and then in hindsight, I'm like, Trevor, why'd you do that? All right. I'm going to take oat as in off-axis torque.
So you mean to like it
when
O.A.T or just write the word oat?
You can write dot would make sense. When I was first playing, I think every time I threw something bad, I was very quickly to say like, "Oh, I've got oat right now." Like, oh,
I've never
said
that
really
in my life.
I've heard off-axis torque.
Yeah,
you never referred to it as oat.
No.
On Reddit, I saw it O.A.T.
Okay,
but I never called it oat.
I used to be around and refer to it as oat.
I think it being listed with the dots is going to save you there.
Yeah,
for sure.
Yeah, no, it has.
If you
it is an acronym.
If you just wrote oat, but are the dots similar? Should Konner get the curl in regards to fade now?
No, it's actually an acronym.
No, it's an acronym. I think it's okay.
But no one. Okay.
It's an acronym.
Well, you and I both, neither of us said oat, but we know off-axis torque.
Yeah.
Well, I would change my answer to O.A.T then. It'll still write
that would have been fine.
Yeah. Well, that's what he said. He said that.
That's my answer.
He said
O.A.T.
he asked you to write it down
answer.
that
He said
way.
oat, but you asked me to write with the explanation. I think if the period stand, the explanation stands. That's my take on it.
I don't understand how they're the same thing.
Because it's explaining.
Okay, but my answer is no longer oat. It is O.A.T.
You can't change answers.
Absolutely, you can.
Then Konner, do you want to change from curl to a different answer? If we're allowing answer changes.
Well, Konner,
I'm just saying if the periods
okay, well,
stand,
it's up to Konner.
The
Konner, if the periods are they the same
periods are
thing?
an explanation. So I think if the
They're
periods
not
stand,
an explanation.
that doesn't make it say oat.
An explanation would be parentheses off-axis torque. That would be an explanation.
Yeah.
But the periods speak for it because no
Konner,
one's going
do
to
you
look at that and
agree?
pronounce
Well, it's
it
up to
as oat.
Konner. It's up to Konner.
I actually think O.A.T is a proper answer. I also don't think it helps him that much. I don't feel particularly threatened
I'm trying
by
to help
this answer.
you as far as that is definitely an explanation to me because oat as a word and O.A.T are two completely different things. Because that people are going to read in their head is off-axis torque. Oat they're going to read as the word oat. Similar to curl, they're going to read and think of rolling versus curl in regards to fading.
Can we find a happy medium instead of putting a description of curl?
I think if they read curl in regards to rolling, it helps Konner's answer. Not gonna lie.
I'm just Konner wanted it in description. We said no. You want periods. I'm saying no. So if we get the periods, we get the.
I'm not sure how the voting goes in this. I'm gonna leave curl.
Okay.
I think it's a little bit more. I think that the description of curl is a little bit more of an elaborated answer than the periods in oat.
Okay.
I do obviously think that if it just said oat, O-A-T, then that would be a bad answer. But he did say my answer.
Can we make it oat?
He said mine is
Let me ask
oat.
this.
He said as in O.A.T.
He said off-axis
Can
torque.
we?
Yeah.
Can we? Would a
I
happy
can
medium
put
be?
oat and put in parentheses
Can we?
off-axis
Can we
torque.
just go?
I don't like that.
No,
I think
no,
that helps too much.
No, that's
That's
I
what
agree.
periods are doing.
No. Well, it's not.
It
you
is.
have to know what it means.
Yeah, I agree.
That's not true.
But we're talking to disc golfers. They all know what O.A.T.
Can we-
I had never heard
How
oat.
about OAT all caps, no periods?
That's fine.
Is that a better solution?
I'm fine with that.
I'm fine with that.
Because it does the exact same thing.
I'm fine with that.
No, taking the periods out changed. Like I would, if I read that list, I wouldn't know what I'm looking at.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm fine with that.
It is
The
a
periods
point,
to
it
me
is
were
a-
just a descriptor when the word's
yeah,
oat.
that makes sense because whenever you see O.A.T, you don't think oat.
You think off-axis torque.
Or you think
that's what I'm
OAT.
saying. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
what I'm saying.
Okay. I understand.
Yeah.
We're all happy.
Yeah.
I think. I
The
can't
good news
tell.
is, after this segment, everybody who votes after the podcast is going to know exactly what I'm talking about.
yeah.
Yeah. But this will get, there's a lot of like 50%, 60% of the votes come in before. So how it's worded is very important.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, I would never just degrade the graphic.
I'm taking,
Hashtag don't degrade the graphic.
for my final one,
Degrassi.
I have a lot. I have like 4 left, and I thought they were 4 of the stronger ones. So I'm kind of terrified. I don't know which one to take.
There's a lot on the table. Like I said, this one, it was very personal. The personal thing didn't help me last week.
I missed the
though.
band names one.
That was a funny one.
That was fun. I was popping off on that one. I had like 20.
We have to put you in a bubble or else we'll lose every time.
Yeah.
Although I don't know that you won that one.
I wouldn't mean to say yeah, as in I agree with you. That sounded very cocky. I apologize, Trev.
I'm going to go.
I mean it.
I'm going to go with Heiserbomb.
Heiserbomb.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good one because you
I
just
don't
say,
use that anymore.
You just say like a big Heiser.
Big Heiser. Heiserbomb was also a brand when I first got in. So it was just like
I remember that.
massive.
Yeah.
So
That's a
I'm
good
taking
list.
say,
I'm going to
just-
say early prediction, Hunter's list is going to dominate.
Yeah,
I think
it's gonna
people will
win.
know it's my list and they won't vote for it.
I don't think that's been happening at all.
The only ones I've won are ones where I'm like, that could be anyone's list. Ones where I'm like, that's my
no,
list. I
Your,
lose every
your
time.
list could be anybody's list. Absolutely, it could
Yeah.
be. What are you talking
absolutely
about?
could be.
Oh, you got to look at the other ones that are out here. As soon as people say Froth, they're going to know Konner.
What?
So
Konner?
my vote is Konner wins.
Connor.
Out of us three,
No.
you're the only one that put Froth on there, I think.
I genuinely don't.
You're right.
think-
I am the only one that
I
put it on there.
genuinely, from looking at the votes this year, I don't think they've been super biased. I think people have been pretty reasonable.
Whenever Konner has a long description that you know it's
Yeah,
Konner,
but
he
I
wins
haven't
every
been
time.
That's
doing
not
that.
true. He
I
didn't win
haven't
the
been
first
doing
2
that.
times he did it.
That is true.
He lost the first 2 weeks he did
No,
it.
because
That's
we
a
were
very good
talking
point.
and we were like, we have to do next
because
week
people
we have to put.
that was only after like the 2 following weeks. I don't know.
Sometimes I think I get the early lead a lot.
I still have
think.
belief in the voters. I think that they've been voting reasonably
Because a lot of times,
ethically.
whenever we check later in the day, I'm winning, but then I never win. I think I get the early votes.
I would never claim that they're going to vote completely ethically because I mean it is what it is. It's a popularity contest, but I think they're being reasonably ethical.
I have one left. This one I like because I don't ever hear anyone who's been playing the sport for a long time really say it. But also, I said it a lot starting out, and that is, I have to try to think of how I want to word this because I'm not sure that just the word stands well alone. But I can't say in regards to. But it's phrases that they say, right?
Yeah.
So I'm going to say.
Yeah.
Let me say the word.
It doesn't have to be
first.
a word. Like you could put it into a phrase, I guess.
Okay. Yeah. I'm going to throw a flick.
Yeah, that's fair.
I don't hear anybody refer to a forehand as a flick anymore.
Yeah.
But whenever I feel like whenever I first started, flick and forehand were said swip, swap, swip, swap. You know? But I don't hear anyone ever say I'm throwing a flick.
My big one.
But I feel like
too-
if I just said flick, then some people would be like,
the disc.
yeah, exactly. So I'm throwing a
For
flick.
me, it was a sidearm.
I'd
Sidearm
say-
and forehand.
Wait,
back and
saying
forth.
I'm throwing a flick still sounds like the disc.
Yeah, it does.
You
I
can't-
didn't capitalize it.
There's really no.
I wrote it lowercase.
Dylan,
I don't get it.
It's whatever,
because it's
man.
not a disc golf
it's-
disc list.
these are my answers. That's what matters.
That's a good one.
I'm
We're all
gonna
just
flick
flo-
this
we're
one.
all
Because I
just
was always
floating
like,
here on a big old
forehand
rock.
has definitely become the standard now. But when I
Yes.
was getting into disc golf, like
Oh, yeah.
I always said sidearm.
Sidearm was big.
Yeah.
My dad says side hand.
That's
Yeah.
way better.
That's like the ironic thing to say.
The other ones I didn't take, bagger was on my
Forearm.
list.
I don't know what bagger is.
Like a
Like a
sandbagger.
sandbagger.
Like people,
I
when
understand.
you're first getting into the sport and you're in MA3, MA2,
Yeah,
and like grinding it out there, anyone that beats you is a bagger.
I
But there's a lot of people that have been in the sport for a long time and still use that, so I didn't use that one. Another one I had was Noodle Arm.
Yeah.
I haven't said that in a long time.
I had Starframe. I had Don't Nice Me.
That's a good one. My final one was Chastity Belt.
That's a really good one. I think you
I
should
don't
have
know
taken
about that one.
Well, my thing
What
is,
that?
I
band?
haven't heard modern new players say that at all.
That's a
That's what we-
very
it's
good
When
one.
we first got in, when I hit band, it was the Chastity Belt.
Yeah.
Now, I think a
haven't
lot of
heard.
ours, the reason why we don't hear them anymore, it's not because of beginners. It's because when we started playing disc golf was a while ago.
Yeah.
So we started during old disc golf and came
It
into
is
new disc
true.
golf. So it's not necessarily beginners. That's why I was trying to think of things that I hear, because I have a lot of beginner friends, and so it helps me to be like, these are what I hear them say. I hear everyone who hasn't been playing disc golf very long that I've played with lately, they all ask the disc to curl, and it
Are they all in the same friend group?
yeah.
Could you
Yeah.
be one person said
Well,
it
no,
was?
that's the thing.
Maybe.
That's
could be.
it. That's how all these
My
kinda come
honorable
about.
mention was bounce. I hear everybody say,
I do hear
"Oh, it
bounce.
bounced at the end," as
skip.
opposed to skip.
Yeah. Well, Brody's disc in that one video that's coming out at some point.
Oh, that
did
bounced.
bounce.
That bounced.
I don't know how it
Absolutely.
did
bounced
it,
the
absolutely
planet.
bounced.
but it bounced like 20 feet in the air.
Yeah.
Out of OB. Crazy. You'll have to watch whatever video it is to see it. All right.
We gotta get this.
Silas Select.
This is almost a 2-hour episode.
No, it's about an hour and a half.
Yeah, it's a long boy. It's a long boy.
I think it's
Silas Select.
I lost. I don't have that. I can't see the
Yeah,
time
once you hit an
anymore.
hour, we lose it behind Konner.
Yeah. Well, we're at an hour and 41 minutes.
There you go.
Is that real?
Yes.
We
sir.
talked for maybe 5 minutes before, but yeah, it's a
Yeah.
long episode. I mean, it's 10:30.
Oh, damn. I mean, I thought we were like.
Let's make it longer, shall we?
Silas Select time. I think that Silas walked
Shut
out
up,
there
Konner.
and he selected with his little fingers and Omega.
You're wrong.
Raptor.
You're wrong too.
I'm testing
Terrible
my theory.
choices.
I'm
It's a
testing my
buzz.
theory.
Buzz?
Testing my theory. I tried planting names in his head.
Trevor
Oh.
said so many
I tried
words to
planting
Silas.
names
Yeah.
in
Is
his
that?
head.
A2.
Ooh, I was
He's
close.
a dog.
That was the closest.
Ultra soft A2. This is another one of Prodigy Plastic.
You guys can
Oh,
manipulate
good.
Silas all you want. I'm gonna start printing out like pictures and putting them like in his car, and I'm gonna subliminal just like message him all week.
I'm just going to start putting my own disc in the Silas Select bag.
That's actually a good idea.
Oh, here.
Silas
pranks.
going to bring it over here and I'm going to just swoop, whoop.
I'm gonna kill Silas. That's
And
what
it'll
I'm
be
gonna
Konner
do.
Select.
That's
Yeah.
all I can, man.
All right. See you next week.